What's going on, everyone? So I figured that for this video, while showing you footage of my latest gym workout, I would share with you a full and completely transparent update on my natural bodybuilding competition prep. On the day that this video goes live, it will be very close to 2026. In fact, it will be Christmas Eve day. So I thought, why not share an update as the year comes to a close? I'm going to break my update down into several different parts. My current body stats and where I'm sitting in my prep timeline, what my nutrition is like, what my training and activity levels are like, what my energy and sleep is like, what the biggest challenges I'm facing are, and what my goals are for the prep. As you're watching, you're invited to drop any thoughts, insights, or comments in the comment section below. I'd be happy to converse and talk more about it all. Also, if you find yourself enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's dive straight into it. I'll start with my current stats. As of the time of recording, my average body weight is sitting in the 186s. And for your reference, I'm 5'10", pretty much on the dot. At the start of my prep back in the middle of June, I was weighing right around 210 pounds, which leaves me now down about 24 pounds. I look and feel significantly leaner than at my starting point, but even so, I've got a decent amount to go, as my estimated stage-ready body weight will likely be around 170 pounds. Anyhow, to give you an idea of what my timeline has looked like so far, it's gone something like this. Beginning in mid-June, I started with my pre-prep diet, which went on for a duration of 18 weeks. Over those 18 weeks, I dropped from 209.8 pounds to 191.2 pounds, so just about 20 pounds total. After that, I did a relatively short maintenance block of 4.5 weeks, in which I dropped another pound, leaving me at 190.2 pounds. Although it was enough to recharge my batteries decently enough, I suspect I could have benefited from increasing my calories a touch more during that maintenance block to really fill up my energy levels before getting into the next part of my prep timeline. But hey, hindsight's 2020. I then entered into the next part of the timeline, the main prep diet itself, and now here I am 5 weeks into it. I'll be competing in 2 to 4 shows in 2026, with 2 shows that I've concretely picked for the spring so far. As far as the 1 or 2 shows that I might do afterwards goes, I've got several different options that I've got my eyes on, but we'll decide which of them, if any, I'll do when I get closer to their dates. The decision of doing those shows will come based largely on a combination of how I'm feeling and if I feel like I'm going to start fading really after the second show. I found that from competing in 4 shows in my 2023 season that I really started to fade after my second show then and really started to visibly fade after the third show going into the fourth one. So this time around, I'm thinking I'll compete while I'm in my peaked window without extending too far past the point of fading. Here's what my nutrition is looking like. As of right now, my week is structured with having 6 low days at 2,600 calories and 1 high day or refeed day at 3,000 calories. Back in June, I started my pre-prep diet losing weight at relatively high calories of 6 low days at 3,100 calories and 1 high day at 3,600 calories. I lost around 14 pounds at those calories, which really is nothing to complain about, that's for sure. For the last 3 weeks of that pre-prep diet, however, I dieted significantly more aggressively at 6 low days of 2,300 calories and 1 high day of 3,300 calories. To be honest, those 3 weeks were tough. I could definitely feel the assertive deficit. Hunger was definitely higher, and my energy levels definitely were impacted. But it was only for 3 weeks, so it was manageable. The aggressive approach was mainly to see if I could get a slightly bigger chunk of fat off before heading into my maintenance block to ultimately make sure I was in a good place in my overall prep timeline. Sure enough, that got me down another 4 pounds in those 3 weeks, and it left me looking significantly tighter. So despite the discomfort of it, it got the job done. For the maintenance block thereafter, I sat at 2,800 calories. As mentioned earlier, I probably could have bumped up the calories a bit higher in hindsight, since I ended up actually losing a pound. And admittedly, those 4.5 weeks of maintenance were a bit challenging from a hunger standpoint, funny enough. I think that the 2,300 calories left me in a little bit of a hole that the 2,800 calorie maintenance block was barely able to fill. But overall, the maintenance block recharged my batteries just enough to leave me in a good place to get started with the main prep diet itself. Over the 4.5 weeks of it, I've been sitting at 6 low days of 2,600 calories and 1 high day of 3,000 calories, like I mentioned earlier. Honestly, this has felt pretty comfortable overall. I've got a bit of an edge of hunger, and I do find myself occasionally daydreaming about food, but overall it's been pretty non-invasive, and my energy and performance is still pretty decent at the gym. Albeit, I can feel the deficit hitting when I get deeper into the week with my Friday and Saturday workouts before my Sunday refeed. Over the holiday week, which will be happening at the time this video is live, I'll be eating at my maintenance calories for a little diet break already at around 3,000 calories daily. And after that week, as the new year begins, I'll drop my calories again to 2,400 on low days and dig for the next level of leanness. Here's what my training and activity levels are looking like. I'm currently training with a full body split 4 days a week, and that's been pretty much completely unchanged through the entire prep timeline thus far. I will say that I absolutely love training. When I'm in my off season, I'm typically in the gym 6 days a week. I tapered down to 4 for my prep since it seems to strike a better balance of stimulus to recovery versus training with 6 or even 5 days, where it becomes significantly more difficult to recover while eating deficit calories. With the 4 days, I'm still able to train super hard whilst preserving my strength levels and even having the ability to hit the odd PR now and again. It is tough sometimes keeping myself out of the gym though, and some of the most difficult days of the prep have been rest days. Hunger is usually higher on those days, and even my physical, mental, and emotional energy feels a bit more negatively impacted, I'll say. But hey, the 4 days of hard training is doing the trick. It's keeping my physique in great shape and in a state that's uninjured, so I'm going to keep rolling with it. As far as my non-gym activity goes, I've been walking for an average of 11,500 steps per day, on average again. I'm not doing any formal cardio, nor will I throughout the remainder of the prep. The steps are enough to increase my energy expenditure a bit to help with fat loss and uphold my health and recovery. All right, energy and sleep. As far as my energy levels go, Mondays are typically high octane and fully loaded since it's the day after eating a bit more food on my Sunday refeed. After that, my energy drops a little bit more from Tuesday on as more days of being in a deficit start to accrue. Tuesdays and Thursdays, my rest days, tend to be the toughest as far as my energy level goes. Overall, it's been fine though, and in all honesty, my energy might not be that different compared to the off season, really. My sleep is definitely starting to be impacted on the other hand, and that is impacting my overall energy levels. I'm finding it more and more difficult to sleep past 6 a.m., and I'm having more frequent days of even waking up before 5 a.m., which usually happens as I get closer to the end of the week. I'm a sensitive sleeper, and regardless of how late I stay up, I tend to not be able to sleep past those points in the morning. As the prep continues, it's likely that my sleep will continue to be disturbed or disrupted. That, in my opinion, might be the single most challenging part of the whole prep, but it's a part of the game, so I've just got to do my best to get through it. Here are the biggest challenges I'm facing in this prep. I'm going to try to be super honest and transparent here. As far as dieting on lower and lower calories as the prep progresses goes, I do feel a bit of a reluctance about the prospect of future calorie drops, and even a reluctance about the way my energy levels will eventually be impacted when I'm very close to being stage ready. So that in itself is admittedly a challenge. It's just the feeling of uneasiness in anticipation of that future inevitable discomfort. The good news is that I've been through it multiple times before, as this is my 5th prep. So I know when I'm deep into it, I can absolutely get through it. But even so, I'd be dishonest if I told you I wasn't feeling a bit of a kind of nervous anticipation about that imminent arrival of discomfort. The biggest challenges, however, have been actually outside of prep. The current one is that I'm just about to move. I tend to worry a lot, oftentimes about things that aren't really in my control. And when in prep, that worry or even anxiety can often be amplified. So as I'm about to move, I'm feeling some of the stress that comes from worrying or even being anxious. You know how it is. Moving in itself can be stressful. Being in prep, in combination with being a worrier, just happens to make it a little bit more stressful. This actually brings me to what my goals are for this prep. One of my main goals since day one has been to try to keep myself mentally and emotionally in the present throughout each day of the prep. See, my tendency to over-anticipate is something I know is a trait that I have. And as such, to combat that, my goal has been to keep myself in the present, focus on one day at a time, and to live in the moment. So although I'm feeling the effects of the greatest challenge of my prep thus far, which is the stress that's coming from the anticipation of moving, I think I'm actually mentally digesting it far better than I would have even just a year or a few years ago. I'm still definitely a work in progress, but I can confidently say that I have made progress with this thus far. In addition to staying in the moment, my other goals are also mainly mindset related or maybe even more holistic in nature. See, overall, I love the dieting and training structure of prep, even when it gets tough. It's challenging as heck, but it's in alignment with the lifestyle I prefer to live, and I love the challenge. My biggest area for improvement is how I handle the prep as far as mentality and mindset goes. Thus, why that's where my main goals are. Here they are. To practice embracing the discomfort or suffering that comes from prep, which there is actually a name for. It's called mortification. To continue practicing and becoming stronger in patience and temperance. To try to detach myself from any or all external outcomes if possible. And yes, I do want to win, but I don't want to attach myself to the prospect of that. And to practice all of the individual skills that come with prep, like being able to train hard with composure in a dieted state and to manage my ever-growing hunger. I'll also mention that all of these goals are in alignment with doing what I hope will bring me deeper into my faith, which at the end of the day is the most important thing to me of everything. And there you have it, my full natural bodybuilding competition prep update going into the new year. I need to mention that I'm being coached by Jeff Alberts of Team 3DMJ. He's been helping me to navigate the prep thus far and has been the main architect of the prep timeline. This is actually my second prep being coached by Jeff, and I feel like we've got a really killer rhythm going. I'm feeling more peace of mind than I ever have in a prep before. Part of that's because this is my 5th prep and I have experience doing them, but also because I know he's in my corner and he's helping me navigate through the whole process. I can honestly say that having an experienced, wise mentor or coach makes a heck of a difference. Anyways, if you have any questions, comments, or insights about my prep, you're invited to drop them in the comments below, and I'd love to talk more. Before the video comes to a close, I wanted to quickly let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos, recording podcast episodes, or making Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by optimizing their approach to strength training and nutrition. And I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how I can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.